again, go fuck himself.
There it is. There it is, bub. Let's go ahead and do the enig. You are typically the person in charge of this, so go ahead and read your own enig and answer it and take care of it. Go ahead, do it.
Okay.
I'm just kidding, bub. I'm just kidding. I have an enigma for you that I put together. I wasn't going to ask Jay Young because he fucking sucks at doing the enigma. So I did this one myself. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Minnesota Vikings, Tampa Bay Rays, Seattle Seahawks, the Rockdalian Senators, and the Bubblegum Shrimp. Bob? Go ahead.
My first thing, I heard some of those teams, and I heard Will's team, and I thought it was going to be teams who suck. Then I heard my team, and I knew that couldn't be the answer.
True.
I don't even know if I can venture a guess.
Not even a guess, Bob? Not even a guess?
Well, I was going to say, I literally can't even guess.
All right, fair enough. The answer, which you will not like, Bob, is these are all teams who have made it to a championship but have never won it.
Aww.
Yeah.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Gay.
All right, Bob. Well, I wish you good luck here in this season finale. Huge game against the Pig Newtons. Maybe you will get into the playoffs, and maybe you will not. Either way, good luck, and thank you for joining us. Thank you, as always, for using Tom Berkowitz Trucking for every need possible in life. Zach, anything you want to say to Bob?
Nah, I'll see you this week.
Okay.
Bye, Bob.
Bye, Bob.
Thanks, that's it.
All right, Zach, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the interactive segment, but I'm going to be honest with you. This conversation may be a little bit too intellectual for you. I think that this is actually something that I'd like to take care of myself, no offense. I'm the commissioner, and I have a perfect ranking, and you can't take that away from me. So
I did go to Anna Maria, so I don't know if I could keep up.
Well, Anna Maria is a fine school. I believe Coach John Costanza, our reigning champion, also went there. Is that correct?
Yeah, he used to buy me beer.
There it is.
Yep.
Well, you're older than him, aren't you?
No.
Really?
Really.
You're close, though, right?
He's a year older than
Oh,
me.
all right. Yeah, pretty close.
Which is why he bought me beer.
All right, enough about this shit. Zach, you just sit here, enjoy yourself, not too much, and listen to this wonderful interview. Let's go ahead and get Professor Brendan Dwyer. Here we do, Loop!
The Dynasty Podcast brings you an interactive and likely ridiculous segment with borderline on actual legit media. Buckle up your fucking seatbelts for the Dynasty Podcast interactive segment.
And live on the Tom Berkowitz Trucking Hotline, I am pleased to have Professor Brendan Dwyer on the show. Brendan, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity.
Great. Now, Brendan, you are the Director of Research and Distance Learning and a professor in sports leadership at the College of VCU in Virginia. But the main topic I'd like to kind of talk to you about here today is the article that you wrote on the Sports Business Journal, which was called Research Debunks Fantasy Football's Negative Stereotypes. I found the article to be very interesting, and in the article you talk about some of the common stereotypes associated with fantasy football players and how they're flat out just simply not true. Would you mind kind of enlightening our listeners with some of your findings via the article there?
Yeah, no problem. The article is kind of a summary of three different research studies that I did revolving around how fantasy football participants behave. And I think in general there is the stereotype for who plays fantasy football, and I think the media plays a role in that. Movies play a role. I always think of the line from Step Brothers where the guy says, I manage a baseball team, and she says, oh, a little league team? And he says, no, fantasy team. think of, that is the stereotype people have of who plays fantasy. And don't get me wrong, those individuals do play.
Right.
But for the most part, that isn't necessarily what it's limited to. Fantasy football in particular, I think, has a huge demographic, a demographic that, for the most part, corporate advertisers and the league are very proud of. And because of that, that's why you see more the CBSs and the ESPNs, they're doing more to support fantasy football, and, their programming is changing because they want to make sure that fantasy football participants are happy. And, what the research really found is that these individuals who play a lot, they're playing for reasons that people don't think they are. I mean, they're playing because they want to socially interact with their friends and family, and they're playing because they like to compete, and they're playing because it gives them another way to get involved with the NFL. There is a stereotype, once again, that people are playing just to win money, or they're playing as a way because it's something that they do in their basement, and they don't want to have actual interaction with people, and it's a way for them to behave online and not necessarily be out in the real world. And I think what the research shows is it could be further from the truth that the demographic is playing so they can be interactive with their friends and family, and this is just one more way to really either stay in contact with friends and family or either as a way to bond further.
Yeah, and that's, honestly fascinating stuff here for, especially here for our listeners being, fantasy football players, and obviously myself being the commissioner here. I absolutely agree. I think, I probably speak for at least my league, where I want to, I have a pretty good pulse of my league and the different players that, are within it. And I'm very confident that the main, sure, the money is good, winning, X amount is always, fun, and it does factor in a little bit. But I think the main reason that we all kind of compete and play is really the camaraderie, socializing, getting to know each other, getting involved with, sports. And, I know for myself, one of my kind of hobbies, if you will, is kind of, I always thought of my dream job as being kind of like a GM of like whether it be a football team or a baseball team or whatnot. So kind of like the business behind sports and whatnot. And so, as far as your research is concerned, it's kind of good to see that information has kind of been validated and is out there. And another question I have for you, Professor, you mentioned in your article that you foresee social media, such as Facebook and Twitter, to become kind of much more ingrained and common for fantasy football users. Now, in the Dynasty League here that we're in, we not only have already begun using Facebook and Twitter, but we also have video productions, we have in-season hangouts, we have quarterly newsletters, a corporate sponsor, and this very podcast. Have you heard of any other fantasy leagues kind of doing these types of things? And if not, is this kind of where you foresee the fantasy world heading?
Well, it sounds like you're ahead of the curve. I think a lot of fantasy leagues are starting to. Facebook and Twitter are ones that, I think are generally the ones that people are starting. Every league is starting to incorporate that somehow. I've also seen used group text messaging through GroupMe and a couple other social media applications that you can text message everybody at one time within the group, so it doesn't matter where you are, it goes through your phone. I've seen that used, but I think I would say your league is ahead of the curve because, the hangout is something that I've seen as that's where I see a lot of fantasy leagues going.
Yep.
Because it's one thing to use Twitter, use Facebook as